Hey everyone, what is up and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ella and in today's video I'm going to be talking all about dealing with anxiety at university. I just want to clarify that I am not a mental health professional and I don't claim to be, but all of the stuff that I talk about in this video has absolutely helped me, and I hope that by sharing my tips that some of them might be able to help you too if you were to try them out. Just before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram. My handle is @ella.houghton, and without further ado, let's get into the video. I have not talked about this loads on my YouTube channel because I have not actually been diagnosed with any anxiety disorders. I've never gone to the doctors, so therefore I don't know if I actually have any sort of recognised disorder. However, I do believe that I suffer with anxiety. The first time when I think I really started suffering with anxiety was when I was around 15 years old. Now, when I was growing up at school, there was a lot of things that happened that were anxiety inducing, and I'm not going to talk about them now, but there were a lot of things that happened that caused a lot of emotional and mental distress in my life. And ever since that has happened, I have developed this anxiety that never really ever goes. So I would say anxiety is always present in my life. I would say there's never a time when my anxiety isn't there. However, there are times when it has got considerably worse and affected my life to a point when I've not been able to cope, and there are points when I'm so functional with it that you wouldn't even know that it's something I suffer with. And the reason I want to talk about it in relation to when I went to university is because I feel like some of my worst periods of anxiety have been whilst I've been at uni and whilst I've not been with my family, and so I have had to find many ways to deal with my anxiety on my own. You know, there were a whole load of events that happened at uni, including my breakup, which I've talked about a lot on this channel, but also homesickness. You know, the whole upheaval of going to uni is a massive change. I also experienced rapid weight gain during my first year. I gained 3 stone in 6 months, and that caused a lot of emotional and mental stress too. And basically my anxiety just got really bad, and I found it really hard to cope for a while. Over the years I've developed a skill set, a collection of things that I do that do actually really help me feel better. And through making this video, I hope that maybe even one of these ideas might help you deal with your anxiety. And so I'm going to stop talking about my own journey and I'm going to talk about some of the things that actually help me. So the first thing I want to talk about are sleep hypnosis podcasts. Now, when my anxiety is really bad, I find it incredibly hard to sleep. I find that when I'm lying in bed, I find it ridiculously hard to try and quieten my brain. And it's like I'll be trying to get to sleep and my anxiety is just like, no, absolutely not. For me, when I get anxiety, I feel it in my chest, and I get a very tight chest and I feel like I can't breathe, and like when I'm lying in bed I can get really panicky. So I have found that sleep hypnosis podcasts are an amazing way to help you get to sleep. The actual podcasts are really soothing. They do everything from like bedtime stories to just like straight up hypnosis to meditation to like, you know, ones to do with breakups or emotional stress. They actually have ones for all different sort of areas of your life, which I think is amazing. And you know what, it's actually pretty hard to ruminate and obsess over things when you are also trying to focus on what someone else is saying. And so I find that is a really good way to sort of stop overthinking and just focus on where you are now, which is trying to get to sleep. So my next main tip is that, you know, lean on your friends and other people when you need to, but also learn coping mechanisms that do not involve other people. Do you know what? I lean on my friends all the time. When I'm going through a bad period, I will be on the phone to my friends literally like 5 or 6 times a day, and you can ask any of my close friends, like when I'm going through a bad time, they are going through a bad time too. Like my whole thing is just like I don't like being on my own when my anxiety is really bad, because it just makes me feel really lonely and panicky and horrible. Asking for help from family and friends is helpful to a degree, but there does come a point in the day where you can no longer sort of be with them and you do have to be on your own. So it's really important to learn techniques and skills and things you can do on your own that don't involve other people. I'm just going to list a few things that I do. This is by no means a comprehensive list, but these are things that I find have helped me the most, especially recently with the breakup. So the number one thing that I found really helps me is journaling. Now, if you've never journaled before or kept a diary, then I really recommend doing it. It's so good for your emotional health, I think. The amazing thing about journaling is that it's just for you. You can literally just let your mind go and let it take you wherever it feels like going. So if you feel like talking about like the fact that you feel really down or really sad or really stressed or really angry, then you could talk about that. But if you're having a good day, then you know you can also talk about that too. And it's very much a good way to work through your feelings in a healthy way. And so I really recommend keeping a journal. I write in my journal every single morning when I wake up. Something else that I find really helpful that also helps me get out of my head is goal setting. So this is all about reminding yourself about what you want from life and giving your days purpose. When my anxiety is really bad, I find it all very overwhelming, and I can feel myself getting very, very stressed and very like I'm unable to see beyond the present day when my anxiety is bad. Pretty much. I think it's really good to just remind yourself of what your goals are, even if it's just the goals for a day, even if it's just like get out of bed, go for a walk, or even if it's like bigger goals, like, you know, your dream job, I want to be a broadcast journalist, or I want to be an actress, or I want to be an author, or whatever it is. Even just writing those down can make you feel a lot better, even though it's such a small thing. I also find making a gratitude list quite helpful, and this is all about making a list of everything you're grateful for. So every single day I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for. It can be anything from the coffee in your cup to your mum, or, you know, your best friend. It can be small things and big things. The point is that you're recognizing that there are things to be grateful for in your life. Another thing that's really good is hobbies that require zero brain work. If you play an instrument, this is a really good one, but for me personally, I don't play an instrument. I play a bit of piano, but not really. My thing is singing. When I sing, I'm so utterly focused on what I'm singing and the runs and the riffs and the control of my voice that I'm unable to think about anything else, and I find the whole process of singing so therapeutic and so just calming. You know what, even if you don't sing or you don't think you're good at singing, I actually really recommend singing. It's a really peaceful way to sort of help your mind calm down and give you something to focus on. Another thing I would say is to find YouTubers that help calm you down. So at the moment, my favourite ones are Houghton, Elle Darby, Ella Ringrose. They are all YouTubers that I watch that when I watch them, they actually make me feel a lot calmer. And like Imogen, I feel like I've spoken about her so much recently, but Imogen Nation, I love her so much. She is so positive, and her videos, her story times, honestly make me like actually cheer me up so much. So I really recommend watching her if you don't already. Also, something that I really struggle with when my anxiety is bad is spending time on my own, and something that I find really, really good for this is always having background noise in the room. So whether that's a Netflix show, a film, music, a podcast, the radio, keeping up with the Kardashians, whatever it is, I just find that having background noise in the room can really help me feel less alone, which sounds really weird, but it honestly does really help if you're feeling quite lonely and you struggle with it in the same way I do. I also want to talk about a few mindfulness techniques that I've learned. I'm by no means an expert on mindfulness at all, but you know, these are just some techniques that I've learned that have helped me. So I want to start off with the obvious one, deep breaths. Like I said before, when I get anxious, I get a really, really tight feeling in my chest, and deep breathing can really help to get rid of that. It really helps to like untie the knots and just loosen my chest to make me feel more at ease. I also learned about this technique that I like to call thought bubbles, and my natural reaction to negative feelings or negative thoughts are usually to push them away and push them to the back of my mind because I don't want to think about them. And I feel like that's a pretty natural reaction to most negative feelings. But this technique is all about allowing yourself to feel that negative feeling, even though it might be painful. It's about not pushing the feeling away and allowing yourself to experience the emotions in a calm, controlled way, and in an accepting environment. So I tend to try and do this on walks just because I find the fresh air and the sort of act of moving really helps me sort of work through these emotions. But I kind of think of it as like having a thought bubble rise above your head, and instead of popping it straight away, you're basically just letting it disperse and turn into mist and slowly leave the room. By doing this, you are allowing yourself to accept your emotions and deal with your feelings, which I think is really, really important. And the final thing I want to say is routines. I think routines are a really, really important part to dealing with anxiety, especially at university. Craft a morning and night routine that you actually look forward to doing. In that routine include mental, physical and emotional self-care. So whether that be exercise, journaling, eating good food, whatever it is that you want to put into your morning routine. You could even literally write out a list of everything you want to do in the morning and tick it off as you go each morning. It's just a really good way to start your day and reduce anxiety, because I actually find that the worst time for me is in the mornings, which is, I don't know if anyone else has that. I feel like a lot of people experience it worse at night, but my time is first thing in the morning. And with that, they are my best tips for dealing with anxiety at university and generally. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you would like a notification every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, then my handle is @ella.houghton. Follow me on there for all the most up-to-date information on what is going on in my life, and follow me on TikTok. My handle is @ella.houghton and the last O is a 0. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!